African model, which corresponds to the Pact for the Future. Liberia expresses its full support for the C10 African Reform Model as a practical and unified framework for advancing the reform of the United Nations Security Council. Grounded firmly in the common African position, the model outlines key elements, including the expansion of both permanent and non-permanent categories of membership, equitable regional representation, an enlarged council that reflects current geopolitical realities, consideration of the veto, improved working methods, and a strengthening relationship between the Security Council and the General Assembly. In Liberia's view, this model represents a coherent and forward-looking approach to achieving fairness, accountability, and Africa's rightful place in global governance. Excellencies, the reform of the Security Council remains central to strengthening multilateralism and enhancing the legitimacy and effectiveness of the United Nations. Africa's position in this regard is clear, consistent, and anchored in a unified continental consensus. The African Common Position, as articulated in the ASU-winning consensus and reaffirmed in the SAT Declaration, continues to serve as the authoritative framework guiding Africa's engagement. It calls for no fewer than 2 permanent seats and 5 non-permanent seats for Africa in a reformed council, and affirms that so long as the veto exists, it must be extended to all permanent members, including those representing Africa. This position reflects both a demand for equity and a principled commitment to a more democratic, representative, and accountable council. Liberia underscores that meaningful reform must respond to contemporary geopolitical realities. A Security Council that does not adequately reflect today's geopolitical landscape risks diminished legitimacy and effectiveness in carrying out its mandate. While African countries, including Liberia, serve as non-permanent members of the Council, such participation, though valuable, cannot substitute for permanent inclusion. The absence of Africa in the permanent category remains a fundamental gap that must be addressed with urgency and resolve. Excellencies, finally, the reform of the Security Council presents an opportunity to reinforce the legitimacy and moral authority of the United Nations by correcting long-standing historical imbalances and injustices. We therefore call for renewed political will and genuine engagement to advance this process in an inclusive, transparent, and results-oriented manner. Liberia stands ready to continue contributing constructively to this process across all 5 clusters. I thank you.